Hello, and welcome to Solent Sports News. I'm Ethan Moss-Wills, and this is your 3:30 Friday Bulletin. England take on South Africa in their Rugby World Cup semi-final tomorrow in a replay of the 2019 final in Japan. Despite the Springboks being heavy favourite, Maro Itoje is confident and believes the best is still yet to come. Meanwhile, England centre Elliot Daly has been talking of revenge ahead of the clash.
It was disappointing 4 years ago, but I think the feel around this team is a very different team. Obviously, I had a bit of time out from this squad, and then to come back in, there's a different feeling within this group. So we're going to try and harness that, and what all of the last sort of a year, 2 years planning gone into this to hopefully perform to our best on the weekend.
In the other semi-final of the Rugby World Cup, Argentina take on New Zealand tonight. Argentina cruised past Wales in the quarter-finals, with New Zealand narrowly winning against Ireland. Argentina managed to beat New Zealand for the first time last year, but the All Blacks will be hoping for revenge to earn a place in their final. Now for women's rugby. England got their WXV1 campaign underway this morning in Wellington. The Red Roses defeated Australia 42-7, getting off to a fantastic start in the newest global tournament in women's rugby. Hannah Bottoman, Ella Viras, captain Marley Packer, Jess Breach and Megan Jones all added scores for England in a rampant display of brilliant rugby. Their next fixture takes place next Friday against Canada. It's the Merseyside derby this weekend as Liverpool host Everton at Anfield. Liverpool will be without Andrew Robertson and Cody Gakpo, both ruled out through injury. Jurgen Klopp was speaking about the challenge of the Toffees for his side.
So let's have a look at the facts, and the facts
Australia.
are Everton is in a good moment. Might have had was a difficult finish of the season, but successful. We stayed in, and then the start was not that easy. But since 3-4 weeks, they got the results in. Before that, they had already performances, at least shots on goal, stuff like this. Not always an awful lot of possession, but knowing how to find the goal. And
Australia have got off to a flying start in their Cricket World Cup match against Pakistan this afternoon. They completed their innings with a tidy score of 367 for 9, which a mammoth partnership from openers David Warner, who scored 163 runs, and Mitch Marsh, who scored 121 runs, being the highlight of Australia's innings. This set up a monstrous run chase for Pakistan, who were 59 for none off 10 overs in reply, which means the conclusion of that tie could be very interesting. Now over to boxing, where Solent sports reporter Alex Isaacs interviewed a star on the rise in Portsmouth.
Lucas Ballingall continues to shine amongst British boxing, a career still in its early stages, inspired by his dad and a passionate love for the sport. This is Base Camp Boxing Gym in Portsmouth, where we met with the super lightweight fighter to discuss how he got into the sport and his journey so far.
I was born into it. My dad, who's my trainer and manager, has always been a massive boxing fan and involved in professional boxing. My older brother, who's a professional boxer as well. It's a family thing, really. I just went always, as a little kid, with a pair of boxing gloves on my hands. It was always something I was going to get into.
The 26-year-old currently holds the English super lightweight belt and gained the title in a bout against Boy Jones Jr. in September last year.
I won the English title last September, defended it a few months ago as well. So I won the English title, and now, so far in boxing, that is my achievement, but I'm aiming bigger, so I want bigger titles and hopefully world titles in the future.
With a record of 17 wins and 2 losses, the story of his first defeat is most certainly an interesting one.
So during COVID, I suffered my first defeat as a pro. I couldn't get opportunities because of coronavirus, so I took an opportunity to go and fight out in Russia. Went and fought a big puncher out in Russia, completely outboxed my opponent, thought I won the fight, but I was never going to get a decision out there. So I suffered my first defeat out there, but I learnt from it and I've come back stronger, and like I said, I won my first title last year and hopefully more to come.
Would you say that's been your toughest opponent so far then?
I would say, he hit quite hard. At the time, he was definitely my toughest opponent, but I still thought I won the fight. but he did give me my first defeat, so yeah, I'd have to say him. Yeah.
Alex Isaacs, Solent Sports News.
The draw from the Women's UEFA Champions League group stage has just taken place. Manchester United and Arsenal were both absent from the draw following their respective losses to Parisian sides earlier this week, leaving Chelsea as the only English side left in the competition. Finding themselves in pot 1, the Blues have been drawn against Real Madrid, Häcken of Sweden and Paris FC, who knocked out Arsenal in the qualifiers. A tough group indeed for Emma Hayes' side. We now go to Solent Sports News journalist Daniel Williamson, reporting on the future of AFC Tottenham.
First things first, I'd like to apologise for the noise as we are currently sandwiched between a busy road and a work site. Last weekend, AFC Tottenham suffered a 1-0 loss in the FA Cup 4th qualifying round against Ramsgate. It was a scrappy game where neither team performed well, but Ramsgate just managed to get that winning goal. It's not all doom and gloom for Tottenham though, as they can now focus their efforts on the FA Trophy and the league, where they currently sit in 8th position. Tottenham's goal is by 2030 to be in the Football League, and that can be held this weekend in an away fixture against Bracknell. Here's Finn the Island with more.
After beating Berkhamsted in the FA Cup, the Stags progressed into the 4th qualifying round of the FA Cup. Presented with Ramsgate, the Stags had their hopes held high of another FA Cup victory, but missed chances and a lack of concentration came back to bite the Stags on the antlers. Now out of the famous competition, the Stags must look forward positively after having such a good start to the season following their recent promotion. AFC Tottenham manager Jimmy Bull wasn't completely satisfied his side deserved to crash out of the competition without a penalty that wasn't given later in the game.
Performance-wise, it was okay. You know, they had a bit of the ball in the first half, didn't really cause us any major problems. I don't really remember many shots from either side in the first half. It's quite cagey. Second half, again, I thought we defended ever so well, but for one lapse in concentration. But those often decide big games. And then we've had 7 in the game today. We've had 7 fantastic chances to score that. I'll be really honest, we've got to score a couple of them. I've just watched them back straight after the game, and I don't really know what you say about it. I think there's a penalty at the end. Like, the referee's got us think, why would he go down? He's in on goal. Why would he go down and not just take the chance to score a goal? So there's obviously contact. Disappointing. We had enough chances to at least go back to their place, or if not win the game, because we had 7 really good chances. So if you don't take them, you end up on the losing side sometimes.
The Solent Redhawks are currently undergoing their pre-season. Down at Test Park, the new recruits were put through their paces.
Test Park is the home of American football team Solent Redhawks. The Redhawks are halfway through their pre-season and have just finished a huge recruitment process last September.
It's Daniel McMillan, and head coach of the Solent Redhawks university team. Yeah, so far so good. We've recruited well. We do obviously recruit continuously through the year, so we're always open to have new members join us. But yeah, so far we are in a good place with numbers, but it's just like weather like this and getting people to commit, to the 2 training sessions per week. But other than that, yeah, we're very excited about this season.
The American sport has tremendously grown in the UK in recent years. According to the NFL's official research, Britain now has more than 13 million fans in the UK, and around 4 million of them are avid fans. Lucius is a fan of the sport and a player for Solent Redhawks.
I've seen more and more bars do it on TVs and do NFL nights, and it's slowly getting there, I guess, in the UK. But I think what will boost us is more players that come from the UK. So there's a few players here and there in the NFL at the moment that come from the London Warriors and a few other club teams. So it would be good to see more from the UK go to the NFL, and hopefully they get, that boosts us, the sport for us.
Vice-captain Oakley Faff believes that Solent Redhawks is more than just a club.
Every Sunday we go down to the bar and watch the games, so there's a sense of community as well. So obviously all the boys can come down and watch the game, learn the game, and yeah, I think it's been really positive because people who have never tried the sport have watched the game and then decided to come down and to like train and stuff. So yeah, it's been really good.
The Solent Redhawks will be hoping that their new additions to the side can help them push forward. With 2 weeks until the season kickstarts, Solent Redhawks are keen to get underway.
Eddie Howe has been speaking about Sandro Tonali ahead of Newcastle's home fixture against Crystal Palace this weekend. The Italian recently withdrew from the national team due to an investigation into the 23-year-old's alleged betting activity. Howe said Tonali had a couple of difficult weeks, but he's handling himself very well and dealing with his emotions incredibly strongly. Wayne Rooney is set to take charge of his first game this weekend against none other than his former teammates side Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough. The former DC United manager has been speaking to the press at his unveiling about matching the ambition of the club's new owners.
But the Premier League is where we want to get to. It's an ambition of mine, it's an ambition of the clubs, and we're putting everything in place to make sure we do that in the near future.
Brighton's Kaoru Mitoma has signed a new deal with the club, making him a Seagull until 2027. The Japanese international has been a key asset to the Premier League side, managing to score 13 goals and make 12 assists from 52 appearances. Roberto De Zerbi said, "It is great news. Kaoru Mitoma is our top player." Sir Jim Ratcliffe is set to take charge of football operations at Manchester United as he prepares to purchase 25% of the English Giants.
Clear the way, lads, please. Thank you. Sorry, mate. Excuse me, lads. Come on.
While the Glazers would maintain control of the commercial side of the club, the Nice owner would aim to make big changes to the sporting side of the club, which has been heavily scrutinised during the Glazers' ownership. Vincent Kompany's struggling Burnley faces another tough game on the weekend in Brentford away. Although the Clarets have only managed to pick up 4 points from 8 games, the Belgian boss remains calm and isn't feeling the pressure.
Is there a little bit of extra pressure starting to build? Have you got to deal with that?
Look, it's always a difficult question to ask me because I've been pretty, I don't know if that's an English word, but impermeable to pressure throughout my career. So I'm not personally focused on that. It doesn't really concern me.
But for the players?
Maybe, but I look back at even last season, what's pressure, you know, pressure of having to go back up because you've just been relegated, or pressure of staying in the best league in the world, I don't know.
Thank you for watching. We'll be back with more sports stories next Friday.